So, so we'll go to Mars. Okay. So you see up here, I've talked about over here. Do you see my screen? Can you see my mouse? So I've written the shlokas, the mantras for each of the planets at on top in English. Okay. And these are the so different scriptures have different shlokas for or mantras for planets. There are many different kinds of mantras. There is something that's called Bij mantra. Then there's something that is called Gayatri mantra for each of the planets. These are mantras that Parashar Rishi himself wrote in the Parashar Shastra. Okay, so and in fact, what we can see is that if we read this, Dharni Garbh Sambhutam Vidyut Kanti Samprabham Kumaram Shakti Hastam Tam Mangalam Pranamyam. Dharni Garbh Sambhutam, what it's saying is it's born of this mother, Dharni. Okay, Vidyut Kanti Samprabham. He has energy, he's electricity, his hands have so much power. Like Kumaram Shakti Hastam. Hastam means hands. Shakti Hastam, his hands are very powerful. And then they're saying Tam Mangalam Pranamyaham. So if you understand these mantras also, you can understand what the character of any planet will be. So I decided to give this. And sometimes when you're, suggesting somebody to do something, then these mantras, when recitation of mantras also helps a lot. So at least you know which mantra they are. Okay. So Mars provides energy and it governs strength. The Narasimha avatar. Everybody knows what the Narasimha, who Narasimha was? Narasimha was an avatar of Lord Vishnu. Uh, uh, so if anybody has heard the story of Dhruv, no, sorry, it was Prahlad, right? Prahlad and
Prahlad,
Prahlad, yeah,
Narasimha.
Prahlad. So Prahlad was a big devotee of Vishnu, and Hiranyakashyap, his father, was a demon. He didn't want his son to pray Lord Vishnu, and he was putting his son through a lot of torture every time he was saved. And finally, Lord Vishnu came out of a pillar in the form because Hiranyakashyap had a boon, a vardhan that he can't be killed by a human or an animal. So Narasimha was a half animal, half man. So the face was of a lion. He had claws like lions and stuff like that. So because of the aggression, the Vishnu avatar that rules Mars is Narasimha. Okay. In South India, they also talk about Kartikeya. Okay, Kartikeya, who's the Lord, who's the son of Lord Shiva, elder brother of Ganesh. Okay, he is also recognized as the commander in chief of the Devatas. So if anybody has seen Shiv Puran or and seen the katha of Kartikeya in it, he is the commander in chief of all the Devatas. Okay, so Lord Kartikeya in South India is very heavily prayed. The color is definitely a fiery planet. His color is blood red. Okay, uh, sun is not blood red, is orangish red. Significances definitely for a commander in chief, you need courage, you need valor. Siblings, with siblings, you get stronger. Fighting, anger, enemy, death, lot of action, sports. These people can play a lot of sports. Fights, again, fights, they sometimes, outcomes are you go to court, so that can be represented. Husband for women, like for men, their spouse is represented by Venus, and for women, their spouse is represented by Mars. Husband is represented by Mars. Land, property, it's all signified by Mars. Okay. When we go to houses, you will see the fourth house also represents land and property. Okay. And Mars also represents land and property. So that's why, say another planet is placed in the fourth house and you're running that Antardasha, but not Mars, then you have to say, okay, it's because of the fourth house connection this person is buying or selling land or a house. But if somebody is running an Antardasha of Mars itself and not the fourth house or Lord, you can understand why that is happening. That's why it's important to understand all these significances. They are very, very different. Some of them are same, but courage is very different than sibling. Okay, um, then sports and husband and land, very, very different things. But we must know, if you understand this core character of Mars, that his courage, his energy, he is knee-jerk reaction. Okay, he can. Bhavya, you had mentioned that Tamasic will get affected very quickly. Now, Mars is not a Tamasic planet, but he can give very quick anger very quickly.
Wait, sir, I have a question here.
Mhm.
According to my notes, like I had the lord, like in Aries, I had the lordship of Mars, and then I had it as a natural malefic planet. Then its Varna as a Kshatriya, and its Gunas as Tamasic. But we
Yeah,
just
but
said
it's
he's not.
but it's a Kshatriya planet.
Yeah,
It's a Kshatriya. It's not really a lower class planet. So
but
that Tamasic gun is getting affected very quickly on it. Because it's naturally representing fight.
so it gets affected really fast. Like Mars will get affected really
Very,
fast
very
because
fast
its
because
Guna
its
is.
natural karkatva is also enemy and fight and anger and action and those things. So if
Uh-huh.
somebody's Mars is strong and you poke that person, you know that his tamasic quality will give rise very quickly, even though that person may not be tamasic himself. It's just that gun of Mars which is being kicked in.
A follow-up question, sir. Will the Varnas, so if the Gunas are Tamasic for any of the planets, and will the Varnas help decide how fast the Tamasic Gun will take effect? Does it have
No,
anything to
no,
do
no,
with
no.
it?
So it will not, it is not the speed of anger, but the Varnas will help us decide, say, Mars, if it's
Mm-hmm.
in a good chart and it's Kshatriya,
Mm-hmm.
okay, then that person could be a policeman,
I
okay,
see.
who can get angry from some criminal very quickly, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If that, if Mars is behaving as a soldier, as a protector, okay, that person will shoot as soon as he's ordered to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the varna, that's why it's important to understand, because he's a kshatriya. The first role that can, where I see that Mars will be, is he in some protective services, this person working in some protective services, if Mars is predominant in that chart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but his anger may be very different than a lower class, which is, remember we said Shudra planets, they are
Yes.
workers. Who are workers fighting for? Themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They're not fighting for the society.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, they are fighting for themselves. I want this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to understand all these different qualities of planets before we make a final decision. But I can tell you, a lot of criminals who end up in prison also have a very bad Mars, or somehow the Mars is impacting in their chart in a very negative way. Because a lot of criminals, what is the one quality they have in common? They are fighters. Not just cheaters or thieves or anything, but they are all fighters. They are ready to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And where does fighting come from? Mars.
Okay, it's clear to me for now.
Okay. So Lord of the Rashi is Aries and Scorpio for Mars. He owns Aries and Scorpio. He's exalted. He's happiest in Capricorn. And his whole Trikon Rashi is Aries sign. Okay, his own sign. And he will be debilitated in the seventh sign from Capricorn, which is Cancer. Okay, Benny, I'll get to you in a second. Now,
Okay.
why do you think he's happiest in Capricorn?
Saturn, is it?
No, Mars. Mars. Why do you think Mars is Capricorn is owned by Saturn? You're right. But
Yeah.
why do you think Mars is happiest? Why is Mars exalted in Capricorn?
Actually, that was my question because Sun is not happy with Capricorn, but you mentioned like Mars is, and they are kind of like working in tandem. So,
So Mars is what does Mars represent? Action. And
okay.
who is that in the Kal Purush Kundli? Which house is the 10th house? Capricorn.
Capricorn, yeah.
So Mars is action oriented.
Okay.
So Mars is exalted in the 10th house. He is debilitated in Cancer. Cancer is ruled by Moon, emotions. Mars is nothing to do with emotions. You know, they talk a lot of the times women are from Venus and men are from Mars because they say don't have anything to do with emotions. Mars has nothing to do with emotions. It can if it's negatively associated with Moon or something, it can give big mental depression, or Mercury even. It can give big mental depression to someone. Okay, he doesn't like anything to do with emotions.
So does this mean that if a person's moon, sorry, if a person's, so because moon represents the mind as well. So here's my question: if a person has a very strong, like their moon is in the same house as, I don't know, maybe Scorpio or Aries, which is like a Mars ruled house, then would that mean that they would have difficulty understanding their emotions?
Yeah, I mean, so Moon, we just learned Moon is debilitated in Scorpio too,
Yes, that's what I was
right?
asking.
So if a Moon is debilitated in Scorpio and has further malefic influences, that can be very troublesome. But later on, we will learn a yoga called Neech Bhang Yoga. So debilitation means niche, okay? Exaltation means unch, okay? Unch ka hai ya niche ka hai. So if a planet is debilitated, but there is a yoga that's being formed which is niche bhang, Moon can be okay. It may not do as much trouble if somebody receives a niche bhang. So that's why if anybody asks one very specific question, this planet in this house, it can work positively or negatively or neutrally. We have to look at the associations, what other factors are influencing in the chart, what is the dasha running. Say somebody has a moon debilitated in Scorpio, but the person never runs a moon mahadasha, and he's only running antardashas, small antardashas. He may not have a big, depending on how the other planets are placed, not have a very negative outcome. Because remember, we said the Kundli is the static aspect. Give me a second. I'm just going to close my door because the voice is echoing a little bit. Okay. Yeah. So, do you understand why it's not happy? We have to look at, if somebody says what is Sun going to do here, or Mars going to do here, or Moon going to do here, we really have to look at the whole chart. Especially if somebody says sun is in this Rashi or moon is in this Rashi. If you get to know houses and you get to know the ascendant, then you may even come up with, because now you know the ascendant and now you know which house, it can be a little more specific. You can say, okay, ऐसा हो रहा है तो ये तो होगा ही होगा, okay, आपकी life में. But the dashas are actually when they happen. It's a dynamic thing. The kundli is a static thing.
Which makes sense. Just one more question. I'm still not sure why Mars and Capricorn are best friends.
So Mars and Capricorn are not best friends. Capricorn is a sign.
Oh, no, 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 sorry. It means it's debilitated in Capricorn. It's not happy in Capricorn.
It's exalted in Capricorn.
It's
It,
happy in Capricorn.
if
Is
it's
happy in Capricorn.
so if it's happy in Capricorn, then aren't they best friends? Just like from the example
So
of
who
like
are
the sun and the
it's just a Rashi. It's not a planet. Who Capricorn is owned by Saturn.
oh, so it would be Saturn and Mars would be best friends then.
No, they are not best friends. They're not. I gave you the example. Sun and Mars are. Sun is very happy, but Mars is happy. Saturn and Mars are not good friends. Mars is action oriented.
Uh-huh.
He is knee-jerk reaction. So I don't know why this is coming up all the time. Okay, if this ends, we will end it here, and I have to understand why this is giving me a challenge today. Okay, but anyways, the reason Mars is happy in Capricorn is because Capricorn is the 10th house in the Kalpurush Kundli. The 10th house is of profession. Mars is action oriented.
And careers are related to taking action, so that's why.
Not just careers, but that when we say profession, we mean action, something person does, some karma. So Mars is very action oriented. That's why he's happiest there. He
I
doesn't want to
see.
think, and that's why he's debilitated in Cancer.
Interesting.
So if like the Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, right, and Mars is about action, I understand the concept like why Mars is exalted in Capricorn, but then if Mars doesn't like Saturn, isn't that contradictory?
It is.
Like, are they enemies or are they like
Mars and
neutral?
Saturn are enemies. Saturn is
They
actually debilitated in Aries sign.
okay,
Okay, but Mars is commander in chief.
okay.
Okay, so he doesn't care about the other planets. He doesn't have to care other than the sun and the moon.
Hmm.
Okay,
Oh, so he in himself is so strong that the
yeah,
only ones stronger than him are the sun and the moon.
yes. Saturn is patience, and Saturn is slow, hard work,
Oh,
slow moving.
okay.
It's the slowest moving planet in our Navgraha. Okay, and it takes 2.5 years to uh, cross one Rashi. Jupiter takes 1 year, Saturn takes 2.5 years. Slowest moving planet. So Saturn, when we get to Saturn, you'll see it's actually debilitated in Capricorn.
Okay.
Wait, I'm sorry. I just heard that Saturn was debilitated in Capricorn.
Sorry, I said Saturn is debilitated in Aries.
Okay, okay. Sorry, my
Yeah.
fault. Thank you.
Okay. So on the right hand side, I'm saying all planets can play the role of creator, preserver, and destroyer. Okay. As a creator, one can give a lot of energy to Mars. As a preserver, it can make one a soldier or a policeman. We talked about this. And as a destroyer, Mars can be a terrorist.
Is there a way to kind of identify whether a Mars, like in a certain kundli, would be acting as a creator or a preserver or a destroyer?
Absolutely. So when we
Okay.
get to the houses and we learn some more rules, we understand what ownership, which houses does Mars have ownership of, where is it placed, where is it controlling, where is it aspecting, what aspects it is receiving.
Okay.
Based on that, we will say that Mars is very good for this person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
so Narendra Modi, we looked at his chart one day. He has his Mars Tasha running right now. Okay.
That's why he's
Mars,
all in action.
Mars is in his own sign. Mars is in his own sign in Scorpio. So a lot of astrologers actually predicted many years ago that he will win this term because he's running through a very, very good dasha. Okay. But as an example for Narendra Modi, like even during the COVID time, his Mars dasha was running. So all of the world's countries were suffering, and he created a whole new industry and he distributed that vaccine to so many countries. He came as a big protector. Even during when he attacked Pakistan, he came as again, he didn't worry about taking that action. He went and did what he had to do. He said, I do not want any terrorist attacks in my country, and I'll do whatever I need to do. And when the pilot was shot over there, and he defied all the warnings from US and everything, and finally US said you have to release that pilot to Pakistan. So his Mars is extremely strong. And you know what? His moon is debilitated. Also, he's also sitting in Scorpio with Mars. But because he's sitting with Mars, he's getting a niche bhanga.
Hmm.
So here are examples of, when you ask, for example, sometimes I remember Kundli, and you have to remember Kundlis of famous people that you would also know. I can't just pick up a Kundli because I have no way of explaining that, or you understanding that. But this is an example, good example of Narendra Modi's chart, why he is doing so well, why he has never lost an election ever. Okay, not he was running Mars Dasha all throughout. Okay, before Mars was Moon Dasha, but Moon is debilitated. Okay, look at the kind of trouble he went through, when he was accused of the Gujarat riots and all of those things. Look at the emotional turmoil he went through. But in the end, the niche bhanga will will give you, ensure you victory. No matter if you persevere through it, that's what niche bhanga means. If you persevere through it, in the end, you will have victory. And that's what Narendra Modi got. I did talk about malefic planets function better in Uchchai houses 3, 6, 10, 11. Mars is a natural malefic. So remember, I said you don't really need to memorize it because we will keep repeating it enough times. So here is a reminder. And they so for the good best remedies for Mars and Saturn collectively are worshipping Hanumanji. Okay, and there's stories about, and everyone can associate Mangalwar with Hanumanji, right?
Yeah.
And there's stories about why Saturn also Hanumanji puja is the best, is because when it's said that Ravan had actually captured and imprisoned Saturn, and when Hanumanji
That
went to Lanka, he
this
okay. So Shani Dev also, uh, Sun Sun was Hanuman's teacher, and Saturn is Sun's son. Okay, so one time he tried to facilitate a meeting between the two of them. Okay, it came back as I'm telling you this story. Sun is very important. Every astrologer must worship Sun. Sun, who's the guru of Hanumanji? It's Sun. Surya Dev was the guru of Hanumanji. Surya Dev knows every single vidya that exists in this universe. He was the first creation. He's the source of creation. So he, whenever we do pujas and stuff, we always try to do them during when the sun has not set, because the because he is the sakshi, he is the witness of all karma. So for an astrologer, if you want to learn astrology, that will also help if you worship sun. But if you want to start predicting, then it's even more important, because you need a universal connect when you are doing predictions. Any questions? So I suggest we wrap it up here. It's 9:51 anyways, and this thing is giving me problems. We will start, Bhavya, you'll remind me that next time we have covered until Mars, right? And then we can start from the next.
Okay.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you so much, Sanjiv.
Okay, thank you all. Thanks for attending.
Thank you. Have a good night. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Sanjeev.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody. Have a good night.
Bye.